Welcome to the deep dive. So, you've shared a really interesting book with us this time.
Mm.
It's called Will Puberty Last My Whole Life? Real Answers to Real Questions from Preteens About Body Changes by Julie Metzger and Robert Lehman.
Yeah, and what's really revealing, I think, is where this book actually comes from.
Yeah,
It's not just theory.
right.
It's a collection of, actual questions
Yeah.
asked by kids, mostly girls,
Mm.
around 10 to 12 years old, in these puberty classes they run.
10 to 12.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Think about that age for a second.
Exactly. So much is going on inside and out, and these are the things they're genuinely wondering about. It's quite something.
It really is. And the range of topics. It's
Mhm.
fascinating. Obviously, body changes are like front and center.
Sure, the physical stuff.
But they also get into friendships, those first hints of relationships, even the basics of sex and sexuality.
Mhm.
There's this funny bit in the intro where they mention the surprise when boys' puberty gets discussed in the girls' classes.
Yeah, wow, really reaction.
Totally. Plus, they tackle questions about making choices, even touching on understanding sexual orientation.
So our mission today for this deep dive is to really unpack these questions, specifically the ones about puberty in girls.
Yeah.
We want to pull out the most insightful bits and maybe some surprising ones too, straight from what these preteens are asking.
Absolutely. And maybe you listening might find yourself thinking, oh, yeah, I wondered that. Or maybe you'll just be surprised by what's on their minds.
Could be either.
Okay, so let's just dive right in. What fundamentally is puberty for a girl? Like the basics.
Okay, yeah. So in simple terms, puberty is just the biological process. It's how a girl's body matures into a woman's body.
Right.
And it's not like flipping a switch. It happens gradually over several
It
years.
takes time.
Definitely. And the ultimate biological point is to enable the body to function like a woman's, including being able to get pregnant and breastfeed.
And it's something all girls go through, right? But maybe differently.
Exactly. It's
Mhm.
universal, but the timing, the specific experiences, that varies a lot from person to person.
And when does this whole cascade usually kick off? I remember it feeling really distant when I was young.
Yeah, I can feel that way. For most girls, it starts somewhere between 8 and 11 years old.
8. That seems quite young to some people, maybe.
It can be, yeah. And interestingly, one of the very first things is often just getting taller and heavier.
Okay.
But that's easy to miss because kids are growing anyway, right?
True.
So the first really noticeable change for a lot of girls is breast development, little buds starting.
Okay. And I think you mentioned girls often start earlier than boys.
Yeah, that's right. Often up to 2 years earlier. So
Right.
they get a bit of a head start on the whole process.
Right, right. Now, where does this actually start in the body? Is there like a control center?
There is. It all kicks off in the brain. There's a tiny gland, but super important, called the pituitary gland.
The pituitary, okay.
It sends out hormonal signals, like a little message, down to the ovaries. Basically tells them, okay, time to get started.
And the ovaries then release?
Hormones.
Hmm.
Primarily estrogen in girls. That's the main one driving most of the changes. But progesterone and even a little bit of testosterone chip in too. It's a team effort.
A hormonal team. Got it. Now, the book mentions growing up beyond just the physical stuff. What's the difference between puberty and adolescence? Because people use them interchangeably sometimes.
That's a really key distinction. Puberty is strictly the body changes, the physical stuff we see.
Okay.
Adolescence is broader. It includes the huge changes happening in the brain. The brain's rewiring for like adult decision-making, navigating complex relationships,
So puberty is body, adolescence is brain, roughly.
pretty much. And growing up is this long game, right? The brain keeps maturing well into the early 20s.
Early 20s. Wow.
Yeah. So while the obvious puberty stuff might wrap up in the teens, the brain's still got a ways to go.
And that leads perfectly to the book's title question. Will puberty last my whole life? What's the simple answer?
Officially, no. Puberty ends when the major body growth stops, usually sometime in the teens for girls.
Okay, so it does end.
It does. But, and this is important, our bodies never stop changing.
Right,
Throughout our whole lives, things shift and adapt.
right.
So that really intense phase of puberty has an end point, but change itself is constant.
Okay, that makes sense. Puberty ends, but change continues. Got it. So let's dig into some of the specific body changes these kids are asking about. Height and weight, probably the most obvious ones. How does that impact things?
Well, yeah, getting taller, gaining weight, it can definitely ripple through life. If a girl plays sports, maybe she feels a bit different. Speed or agility changes.
Mm-hmm.
Suddenly needs bigger shoes, maybe new uniform size. And like the book points out, this might also be when she starts needing to think about period products, having them handy.
Right, practical stuff.
But the key message, really, is that you can still do all the things you love. You can still excel. It doesn't have to hold you back.
That's so important to hear. Now, privacy. The book mentions wanting more privacy. Why is that so common then?
It makes a lot of sense, actually. Your body is changing in really noticeable ways, becoming more adult-like.
Mm-hmm.
It can make you feel, well, self-conscious, maybe like your body isn't quite yours while it's in flux. So needing space, wanting a door closed, it's about having a safe place to process it all without feeling watched.
Yeah, that totally tracks. What about if getting a private room isn't really an option?
Good point. Even finding quiet moments alone can help. Or journaling, writing down thoughts and feelings.
Mhm.
It's a way to create that private space internally.
Journaling, yeah, that's a great idea. Another big one, feeling tired. Is puberty just plain exhausting for girls?
It absolutely can be.
Yeah.
Think about it. The body is doing some serious construction work. Rapid growth takes a ton of energy. The book really stresses getting enough sleep, like around 9 hours.
Yeah.
Because during sleep, that these key growth-related chemicals get released and do their thing in the brain and bloodstream.
9 hours. Okay.
So yeah, feeling tired is super typical. Plus, add in school, friends, activities,
Yeah,
it all adds up.
definitely. And nutrition. Any specific needs jump out during puberty? Like they mentioned calcium.
Calcium's a big one,
Yeah.
yes. During puberty, girls are building bone mass faster than they will as adults.
Ah, okay. Laying the foundation.
Exactly. Getting enough calcium now is crucial for strong, healthy bones later on. So things like dairy yogurt, cheese, milk are great.
And non-dairy options.
Oh yeah, dark leafy greens like broccoli, spinach,
Mm.
even salmon, lots of good sources.
Good to know. Okay, let's tackle a question I know causes anxiety. I've gained weight this year. Will it go away? What's the deal with weight gain?
This is such a critical point.
Mm.
Gaining weight during puberty isn't just normal, it's essential.
Essential. Okay.
Our bodies need to add weight, including healthy body fat, to work properly and support all these changes. Fat does so much. Stores vitamins, protects organs.
It's not just fat. It has jobs.
Exactly. It's part of brain tissue. Every cell needs it. The book mentions girls between maybe 8 and 13 might gain anywhere from like 15 to 55 pounds.
Wow, that's a big range.
It is. And healthy girls tend to add about twice as much fat as healthy boys during puberty. It's expected, it's necessary.
But societal messages can make that really tough, right?
Totally. It can be a really difficult time for body image.
Yeah.
Focusing on being healthy and strong, rather than just a number on the scale, is a much better approach.
That's really well put. And body shape changes too. Why do thighs often get bigger? Is there a reason?
Yep, there's a biological reason. As hormone levels rise, girls gain weight and body shape matures. Hips widen, thighs fill out, breasts develop.
Mm-hmm.
Fat tends to accumulate around the hips and thighs because it's basically an energy reserve.
Yeah.
Biologically, it's prepping the body for potential future pregnancy and breastfeeding.
Ah, energy storage.
Yeah, exactly. Those fat stores are used as fuel during pregnancy and nursing. For healthy weight women, this big increase usually kind of stabilizes in the early 20s.
So it's all connected. What about the flip side? When should a girl worry about losing weight?
The book is pretty clear. Actively trying to lose weight during puberty is generally not advised. Gaining weight is part of healthy development.
So dieting is usually a bad idea then.
Usually, yes. Our bodies need fuel to grow and develop properly. Worrying about losing weight is more for people who know they're above a healthy range for their overall health.
So what should a girl do if she's concerned about her weight?
Talk to a doctor or a nurse. That's the best step. They can look at her individual growth, height, activity level, age, and figure out what a healthy weight range actually is for her.
Get professional advice.
Yeah, exactly. The book also briefly mentions anorexia, the danger of severely restricting food due to body image, and stresses getting help if those kinds of thoughts or behaviors pop up. It's serious.
Absolutely. Okay, moving to more visible stuff. Pimples. Ugh, seems like everyone gets them. How to manage.
The first step is just good basic hygiene. Washing your face gently every day with mild soap or cleanser.
Okay.
That helps reduce oil, dirt, bacteria, less chance of clogged pores. But, even with that, some pimples are probably going to happen.
Right, inevitable sometimes.
So for those breakouts, over-the-counter stuff with benzoyl peroxide or salicylic acid can often help.
Things you can buy at the drugstore.
Exactly. If it's more persistent or severe, then seeing a doctor or dermatologist is the way to go.
And does it get better?
Usually, yes. The good news is skin tends to get less oily as we get older, so pimples often become less frequent. And Hey, the book reminds us, everyone deals with pimples sometime. It feels like a spotlight, but it's super common.
Yeah, good reminder. What about body odor? Another lovely puberty bonus. What causes it and what helps?
Yeah, puberty can bring new, maybe not so pleasant smells. It's basically increased sweat interacting with bacteria on the skin.
Sweat plus bacteria equals smell.
Pretty much. So regular showering or bathing is key. Pay attention to underarms, between the legs, feet places sweat collects.
And deodorant.
Definitely helpful. Deodorant helps with the smell. Antiperspirant helps reduce the sweat itself. Using those under the arms makes a big difference.
Okay, straightforward. But what if it's your friend who has body odor? That's tricky. How do you tell them gently?
Oof. Yeah, that's delicate. The book suggests being really thoughtful. Maybe share a personal experience.
How so?
Like, hey, I noticed I was getting kind of sweaty after gym, and I found this deodorant that works great. Maybe it'd work for you too.
Frame it as a shared thing.
Exactly. Less direct criticism, more like sharing a helpful tip.
Kinder.
That's a really good approach. Okay, bras. There's often so much pressure about when to start wearing one, like in 5th grade or whatever. What's the book's take?
The book actually pushes back on that idea that there's some mandatory age or grade. It points out lots of women worldwide don't wear bras. Maybe they don't need them for comfort, can't access them, or just choose not to.
This is not a requirement. Not at all. People wear them for different reasons. Support during activities. Maybe they like how clothes fit better, or yeah, sometimes just because friends are wearing them.
Social influence.
But the main takeaway is it's a personal choice based on comfort, preference, not a medical need.
Good to clarify that. So, what if a girl does decide she wants one, but feels awkward asking a parent?
Totally understandable to feel awkward. The book suggests finding a private moment. Just you and a trusted adult parent, aunt, whoever.
I'll take your moment.
Yeah, and then maybe approach it gently. Like, I've been thinking, maybe it's time I start wearing a bra. Could you help me figure it out and maybe go shopping?
Tentative, yeah. Acknowledges the awkwardness, maybe.
Exactly. Opens the door for a helpful conversation.
What about padded bras? They're often about changing appearance. How does the book frame that?
It explains that, yeah, padded bras are mostly used to make breasts look larger or different shape.
All right.
While they can have practical uses sometimes, like with certain clothes or after surgery, the book encourages thinking about why you might want one.
Like questioning the motivation.
Kind of. Gently prompting reflection on societal beauty standards. Are you wanting it because you want it? Or because you feel pressured to look a certain way? Reminding us that beauty isn't just one size or shape.
That's a really important perspective.
Okay.
Myths about breast growth. The book mentions one about eating corn. Does that do anything?
No, absolutely not. The book is super clear. No specific food makes breast grow faster or bigger or whatever.
So no magic food.
Nope. It really comes down to genetics, what you inherit from your parents, and just overall healthy habits. Good nutrition, enough sleep, exercise. That's what influences growth.
Genetics and health. Makes sense. What about the timeline? How long does breast development usually take?
It starts small, often as little firm bumps under the nipples. Might feel tender.
But
Yeah, exactly. That's the tissue starting to develop. Full development usually takes a couple of years.
a couple of years. Okay.
But even after they're done growing in that main phase, breasts can still change size and shape throughout life. Hormones, weight changes, things keep shifting.
And they don't all look the same.
Not at all. The book really emphasizes the diversity. All shapes, all sizes are normal. There's no single right way.
And it's common for one to grow a bit differently than the other.
Totally normal.
Yeah.
Because they're side by side, we assume they'll be identical twins, but they often grow independently.
Right.
So one might start a bit earlier or end up slightly larger or a different shape, usually subtle, just part of being unique.
Okay. Here's a funny one from the book. My cat likes to lie on my chest where my breasts are developing. Will this hurt them? Reassurance needed.
Yeah, that's a cute concern. The book reassures that breasts are pretty resilient. Gentle pressure from pets, cats, dogs, hamsters, even turtles, they mention, isn't going to cause damage.
Even turtles. Okay.
They might feel more sensitive or tender when developing, so pressure might feel like a bruise temporarily. But that goes away once development is complete. No lasting harm from cuddles.
Phew. Good news for pet lovers. What about stretch marks on breasts? What causes those?
Stretch marks happen when the skin stretches quickly, like during rapid growth or weight gain.
Okay.
The elastic fibers underneath kind of stretch or tear a bit, leaving marks that might look a different color. Not everyone gets them, and they can show up lots of places, not just breasts.
And do they go away?
They often fade over time, become less noticeable, and, importantly, they don't affect how the breasts or any body part functions. Boys get them too. Adults get them. It's common.
Okay, let's shift to body hair. Questions about shaving legs, trimming armpit hair, pubic hair, and swimsuits. What's the general vibe on hair removal?
The main message is, it's entirely a personal choice.
No right or wrong.
Exactly. There are tons of cultural reasons, personal reasons, for and against removing hair on legs, armpits, pubic area. Whatever makes you feel comfortable and confident is the right answer for you.
And if someone does choose to remove it, armpit hair, for example.
They suggest safer methods. Shaving, but do it on wet skin with some kind of lubricant like soap or shaving cream. Or waxing, maybe with professional help initially. They do mention ingrown hairs can happen sometimes.
Okay. And pubic hair when swimming.
Again, options are there if you want to remove it.
Ah.
But the book also normalizes just having pubic hair. It's a universal human thing. It's okay.
So comfort and personal choice are key. Here's a surprising one. Does puberty make all your hair curly even on your head?
Actually, yeah, that can happen. It's pretty common for hormonal changes during puberty to affect hair texture everywhere.
Really?
Someone with straight hair might find it gets curlier, or vice versa. Just another weird, unexpected effect of those hormone shifts.
Hormones are powerful. Okay, we absolutely have to talk about periods. Huge topic in the book, obviously. In simple terms, what is a period?
Okay, simplest terms. A period is the monthly shedding of the lining inside the uterus.
The uterus line.
Right. Each month, an ovary releases an egg. If that egg doesn't get fertilized by sperm, the body doesn't need that thick, cushy lining it built up just in case of pregnancy.
So it gets rid of it.
Exactly. That lining, which is fluid, a bit of blood, and the unfertilized egg comes out through the vagina. The uterus, fallopian tubes, ovaries, they all play a part in this cycle.
And the whole thing is called menstruation.
Menstruation or the menstrual cycle, yeah.
And how do girls typically manage the flow? What products does the book discuss?
Mostly pads and tampons. Pads are absorbent. You wear them in your underwear. Disposable or reusable options exist.
Okay, external.
Right. Tampons are different, small, absorbent things you insert into the vagina to soak up the fluid internally.
And are tampons tricky to use at first?
They can take some practice, yeah. The book notes that and reassures it's totally fine to wait, or even never use them if pads work better for you.
Some girls worry about insertion being difficult, right? Because of the hymen.
Yes. The book mentions the hymen, that thin membrane at the vaginal opening. Sometimes it can make insertion harder initially.
But it can stretch normally anyway.
Right. Through sports, other activities.
Yeah.
Not just sex. So difficulty inserting doesn't mean anything specific. The advice is just don't get discouraged. Try again later. Pads are great in the meantime.
Good advice. Talking to someone experienced helps too, maybe.
Definitely. A trusted adult female, an older girl, or just reading the instructions in the box carefully.
Okay. How often should tampons be changed? And what about just general hygiene?
Change them about every 4 hours, or basically every time you use the bathroom.
Okay, regularly.
Yeah. Pull it out gently by the string, wrap it in toilet paper, put it in the trash, not down the toilet. And just showering or bathing daily keeps everything clean, helps prevent odor.
And if you manage it properly.
And then nobody else needs to know you have your period unless you tell them it's manageable.
What about that big fear, getting your first period at school? That must worry a lot of girls.
Oh, for sure. It's a common worry. The book gives practical advice. Know where the nurse's office is, or find a trusted teacher who might have supplies. Be discreet if that feels better.
And once you have a pad or something?
It's not noticeable to others. You can handle it.
What about discomfort? Cramps? Feeling unwell? Does everyone get that?
It really varies. Some girls have significant pain, others feel almost nothing. Some get it sometimes, not always. It's definitely not universal. And the intensity is different for everyone.
Okay. There's a myth that starting your period means you stop growing. True.
Nope, that's a misconception. Starting your period is actually one of the later big events of puberty.
Ah, not the end.
Right. You usually still have some growing left to do, though maybe the fastest height spurt is already done. Puberty officially ends when the major growth stops, which is usually a bit after the first period.
Good to know. Now, chocolate. Cravings before or during periods. Why does that happen?
The book acknowledges cravings are real for many women, especially in the days before. Researchers are still figuring out exactly why. Hormones probably play a role, but it's complex.
So no definitive answer yet.
Not really. But what is clear is that a balanced diet, calcium fruits, veggies, iron, protein, is still really important during that time for overall health. So maybe a little chocolate is okay, but don't skip the good stuff.
Balanced diet first. Got it. Here's a fun one. How do you make your period more fun?
That's a great question. The book notes that in many Western cultures, we don't really have big traditions for celebrating menarche the first period.
Yeah, it's often kind of hidden or seen as awkward.
Right. But it highlights that in other places, Japan, South Africa, India, parts of Asia, it is seen as a big deal, a rite of passage into womanhood, and it's celebrated.
So what can girls here do?
The book suggests creating your own personal celebration or ritual. Maybe a special dinner with a parent, a small gift, just taking some time for self-care. A way to acknowledge this big transition positively.
I love that. Making it your own positive milestone. Okay, we've covered a ton on the physical side. Let's shift to the emotional and social stuff that comes with puberty. A big question. Dealing with overwhelming feelings. Any advice?
Yeah, when emotions feel huge, the book suggests a few things. First, try to name it. What is this feeling? Anger, sadness, fear.
Giving it a label.
Exactly. It helps your brain process it. Second, journaling can be super helpful. Write down how it feels in your body, what triggered it. That brings self-awareness.
Understanding the why.
Right. And finally, and maybe most importantly, talk to someone. A trusted person, parent, family member, counselor, teacher. Sharing helps immensely.
Naming it, exploring it, sharing it, good steps. What about moodiness, that classic teenage thing? Is it just hormones?
Hormones are definitely part of it. They can amplify emotional responses, but it's also the brain development.
The brain again.
Yep. The emotion center is super active, and the parts of the brain responsible for managing those emotions and making decisions are still under construction, basically. They're building connections, figuring things out until the early 20s.
So it's a combo of intense feelings and a brain still learning to regulate?
Pretty much. So what looks like moodiness is often just more open, intense expression of feelings because the management system is still developing.
Do those big swings just vanish in adulthood?
Not entirely. Adults still have mood changes, of course, but usually with a more developed brain and more life experience, they have better coping skills and might not express every feeling so outwardly. Regulation improves.
Okay. The book distinguishes mood swings from just being grumpy. What's the difference?
A mood swing is any rapid shift. It doesn't have to be negative. You could swing from happy to sad or sad to excited.
Any quick change.
Right. People often just think of the negative shifts, but it's any big, quick change. Learning to manage and communicate those shifts healthily is a big part of growing up.
What about crying for seemingly no reason? Why does that happen?
Well, crying is our first communication tool, right?
Yeah?
As babies, it's how we signal needs fear, hunger, pain.
True.
Even as we get older, it can be a physical release for strong emotions. While we learn to use words, sometimes crying is still just a natural response when feelings get intense. It can be quite cathartic.
Okay. And anger, feeling more angry during puberty, is that also hormones?
It can be linked, yeah.
Yeah.
Hormones plus all the other changes can definitely lead to increased feelings of anger.
But you have to manage it, right?
Absolutely. Learning healthy ways to deal with anger is crucial. The book suggests things like taking a break, deep breaths, listening to music, exercise.
And cooking strategies.
Exactly. And also recognizing that sometimes anger is a signal. It might be telling you something important needs attention or needs to change.
That's a good point. Self-consciousness feels almost universal for teens. Why so intense during puberty?
There's so many changes happening. Body, brain, emotions. It all feels new, maybe awkward. And there's often this feeling like you're under a microscope, that everyone's noticing every little thing, a pimple, tripping, saying something dumb.
The spotlight effect.
Exactly. But the comforting reality check the book offers is, most other people are just as wrapped up in their own stuff. They're probably worrying about their own pimples, not yours.
Huh. Probably true. Okay, social dynamics. Teasing. Why do people do it?
Often it comes from their own insecurity. Pointing out a perceived flaw in someone else might be a way to deflect from their own worries or try to feel better about themselves.
So it's about them, not really you.
A lot of the time, yeah. And most people don't actually like being teased. The book suggests speaking up assertively can sometimes stop it, or just redirecting the conversation.
Don't engage.
Right. If they don't get a reaction, they often lose interest. But if it's hurtful or keeps happening, talking to a trusted adult is definitely the next step.
Good advice. What about gossiping? Why is it so common, and why is it unhealthy?
Gossiping is basically talking about someone who isn't there, often sharing stuff that's none of your business, maybe even rumors.
Right.
It can feel like bonding, weirdly. focusing on someone else's flaws. But it's negative bonding. The really bad part is the person being discussed has no chance to share their side, their perspective.
Yeah, that's unfair.
Totally. And it happens at all ages, not just teens. It doesn't build real, trusting friendships.
Definitely not. Okay, popularity. The book links meanness to trying to be popular sometimes. How does that work?
It draws a clear line between being mean and being truly popular. Someone might act mean to feel powerful or important, maybe putting others down to lift themselves up or hide their own insecurity.
Okay.
But real popularity, the book suggests, is being genuinely liked and respected. And that usually comes from being kind, inclusive, making others feel good. The opposite of mean.
So meanness might get attention, but not real popularity.
Exactly. It might be based on fear or intimidation, not genuine connection.
Makes sense. What about fights with friends? Any quick tips from the book?
Yeah. A simple but good one. Try to find common ground. Even if you disagree on something big, look for the areas where you do agree. It's a starting point for resolving things.
Focus on connection. Peer pressure, another huge one. How's it defined and how to handle it?
Peer pressure is that feeling when friends or your group try to influence you to do something you wouldn't normally choose.
Can be direct or subtle, right?
Yeah, someone might ask you directly,
Mm-hmm.
or you might just feel left out if you don't go along. The book really emphasizes learning to make your own choices with family support.
Standing your ground.
It can be tough, feeling like the odd one out. But sometimes, the book notes, if you choose differently, others who felt the same way might actually join you. You weren't the only one feeling pressured.
That's empowering. What about kindness? If a girl isn't very kind in middle school, will puberty magically fix that?
Huh. Probably not magically. Puberty is a time for learning about relationships, yes. But kindness is a skill you learn and practice.
It takes effort.
Right. If someone hasn't had much experience with it, or maybe feels powerful being unkind, there's no guarantee they'll suddenly change.
Yeah.
You hope they mature and develop empathy over time, but it's not automatic.
Okay. The book gives tips for dealing with teasing, aimed at the person being teased. What are they?
A few options. Try ignoring it, no reaction, no fun for the teaser. Try humor, show it doesn't bother you, laugh it off. Or ask them directly and calmly to stop.
What about getting help?
Yeah, involving another friend or a trusted adult is also an option. The key is not to escalate by yelling or retaliating, as that can sometimes just fuel it more.
Right, don't give them the reaction they want. What if someone's struggling to make close girlfriends? Any advice there?
It suggests taking the initiative. Be a friend first. Spend time. Share things. Show interest.
Put yourself out there a bit.
Yeah, and finding common interests is key. Join clubs, teams, activities you actually like. You'll meet people who like the same things. That's a natural starting point.
Makes sense. Shared activities.
And it acknowledges that making friends is harder. Sometimes, new school, new town. Patience and persistence matter then.
Okay, let's talk crushes. Big part of adolescence. How does the book define a crush and suggest navigating it?
A crush is basically developing those stronger, maybe romantic feelings for someone, different from just regular friend feelings.
Thinking about them more.
Yeah, wanting to be around them, noticing things. It's totally normal. The advice is to be aware if it gets too consuming, like interfering with other friendships.
Keep it in perspective.
Right. Maybe try to build a friendship first through shared classes or activities, see where it goes. If it feels right and safe, you can share your feelings. But it's also totally okay to just keep those feelings private if that feels better. No pressure to act.
Good options. Finally, in this section, do boys have crushes on us or is it just a rumor? What's the answer?
A definite yes.
Yeah.
Every boys, girls experiences attraction, liking people. It's human. Having crushes, caring about someone, appreciating them. It's all normal and can lead to friendships or romance. Part of growing up is figuring out how to handle those feelings respectfully. The book even suggests checking out the boys section to see their questions about girls and attraction.
Interesting. Okay, we've covered physical, emotional, social stuff. Now the final section. Relationships and sexuality. And just a reminder, we're reporting the book's content here, not endorsing specific behaviors. Let's start with definitions. What does it mean to be gay?
The book explains being gay or homosexual means you're primarily attracted romantically, sexually to people of the same sex.
Okay.
It contrasts that with heterosexual, attracted to the opposite sex, which it notes is the majority orientation. And it frames understanding your own orientation as a journey, something that unfolds over time through experiences.
Got it. What about dating? When's the right grade to start?
The book defines dating as spending time with someone you like. Exploring a potential relationship. Could be group hangs, could be one-on-one.
Getting to know them better.
Exactly. But the right age. It says families and cultures have really different ideas, often based on safety, maturity.
So no single answer.
Nope. It really stresses talking openly with family about their views and any safety rules they have. Communication is key.
Definitely. There's a question about liking someone and how to talk to mom about it, feeling worried about her reaction.
Yeah, talking to parents about crushes can feel risky for kids. Will they understand? Will they tease?
Mm-hmm.
Liking someone here means those stronger feelings, different from regular friends. The book suggests maybe easing into it, mention feelings about friendships are changing, then maybe say, I think I like someone. Acknowledge you're worried about their reaction. It can help them respond more supportively.
That's a thoughtful approach. Okay, switching to girls' questions about boys. Do boys feel as awkward as girls do about puberty?
The book says yes, absolutely. Boys worry about pimples, body changes, crushes, all the same underlying anxieties. Everyone going through it feels awkward sometimes, even if they show it differently.
Good to know it's shared awkwardness. What about this one? Why do boys sometimes just grunt instead of talking in full sentences?
The classic grunt. The book suggests, generally, girls' language skills develop a bit earlier.
Fine.
So maybe what seems like grunting is just a different stage of verbal expression. Also, girls might pause more in conversation, leaving openings that boys might fill differently.
Interesting observation. Physical differences. Why do boys seem to get bigger arm muscles? It's not fair.
Both genders get stronger muscles, but boys typically get more significant muscle growth, especially shoulders and arms.
And that's testosterone.
Primarily, yes. Boys have much higher levels, and testosterone really drives that muscle development. Girls have a little, but the difference in levels leads to that visible difference in muscle mass.
Okay. More specific boy body questions. Erections. When a boy's penis goes up, does it shoot up very quickly or does it slowly lift up?
The book explains it's blood filling the tissues. It happens relatively quickly, seconds, not minutes. Can happen when expected or, inconveniently.
Okay, quick. And another. Does the penis get stiff just overnight while sleeping? And does it hurt?
Normal to happen during sleep, yes. And no, it doesn't hurt. Just a normal physiological thing.
And when can erections first happen?
Even before birth, actually. Infants can have them, but sperm aren't produced until puberty starts.
Got it. Testicles. What exactly is inside the testicle?
It's a gland with two main jobs. Making testosterone, the main male hormone for puberty changes, and making sperm.
The reproductive cells.
Right. Once puberty starts, the pituitary signals the testicles and they ramp up production of both. Millions of sperm every day.
Wow. Are sperm alive? Do they know where to go?
Yes, they're living cells.
Yeah.
And unique because they can move on their own with that tail.
They swim.
Yep. But they don't know where to go, no brain. They travel through tubes, the deferens, then the urethra to exit the body if ejaculation happens.
Okay. Different types of sperm. Does one testicle make girl baby sperm and the other make boy baby sperm?
No, that's a common misconception. There are two types, X chromosome sperm for girls, Y for boys.
Right.
But both testicles produce both types. It's always a mix.
Okay, mixed output. Interesting question. If a guy never has sex, will his testicles just keep getting bigger and bigger?
Huh. The book is a firm no on that one. Testicles grow to adult size during puberty, then they generally stay that size, regardless of sexual activity. They're factories. Their size isn't based on use.
Phew. Okay. What does it mean when people say a boy's testes drop?
That refers to something that happens before birth. Testicles start developing inside the abdomen.
Inside.
Yep. Then, usually before birth, they descend down into the scrotum. The scrotum hangs outside the body because sperm production needs a slightly cooler temperature.
Temperature control.
Exactly. During puberty, as they grow to full size, they naturally hang lower, which looks like they're dropping further.
That makes sense. Shifting back to gender interactions, do girls get the same information about all this stuff as we do?
The book hopes so, but it acknowledges girls might have different questions or interests. It actually encourages boys to read the girls section to see what they're asking.
Good idea. And are girls generally aware boys are changing too?
Probably, the book assumes. While it's normal to focus on your own changes, it gently reminds readers to pay attention to what others around them are going through too. Empathy,
Right. Some lighter questions about differences. How come girls tend to have longer hair than boys?
The book says that's mostly culture, not biology. Societal norms, fashion trends. It varies hugely across cultures and time periods for both genders.
Okay, cultural. What about how come some girls seem to have a little bit of hair that looks like a mustache?
All girls and women have small amounts of male-type hormones. They play a role in puberty changes, including hair growth.
Okay.
For some, this means a little fine, often light-colored hair above the lip. Not a thick mustache, but some might choose to remove it if they prefer.
Physiology question. Are girls able to hold their pee for as long as boys can?
A definite, of course. Girls have bladders. They work the same way. Bladder size might vary slightly with body size, but girls absolutely have control.
And the slightly odd follow-up, how exactly do girls pee? Do they pee out of their butt?
No, absolutely not. The book is very clear. Girls have a urethra, a separate opening just for urine, like boys.
Okay.
The difference is anatomy, no penis to direct the stream, so they usually sit. And it points out girls have 3 openings down there, urethra, vagina, anus, while boys have 2, urethra, ejaculatory duct, and anus.
Good clarification. Social observation. Why do girls often go to the bathroom in groups?
The book muses this might relate to social dynamics. Girls often value togetherness, talking, sharing feelings.
So the bathroom trip is social time.
Sometimes maybe an extension of that desire for connection. Boys, the book notes, tend to be more solo and less chatty in that situation. It finds the difference kind of amusing.
Huh. Okay. Are girls ever circumcised?
The book states generally no, not in the listener's likely cultural context, presumably Western. It mentions female circumcision, or FGM, happens in some cultures, mainly parts of Africa, but it's rare locally and considered harmful. Circumcision usually refers to males.
Got it. Very direct question. Do girls fart?
An emphatic yes. Of course they do, just like boys.
So why the perception maybe they don't?
Maybe girls tend to be more discreet about it socially. But yeah, girls fart, burp, have stomach noises. Yeah. Basic bodily functions are the same. More similarities than differences.
Good point. Okay. Boys asking about periods. What exactly is a period?
The book's advice, ask a girl. Or it refers them to the girl section of the book, which explains it all in detail since girls have lots of questions too. Open communication.
Right. And related. Does it hurt to put a tampon in, or is it like the boy equivalent?
It clarifies a tampon is for absorbing menstrual flow. It guesses the boy equivalent probably means a penis during sex.
Okay.
And again, directs them to the girls section for the actual explanation of how tampons work.
Moving on. Stereotypes. Are girls generally smarter than boys?
Big nope on that generalization. Neither gender is inherently smarter. Girls might seem more verbally ahead sometimes, maybe because they start puberty a bit earlier or are more verbal socially. But intellectually, boys and girls are equal. Brains are about the same size.
Good to debunk that. Bridging the gap. Do girls care as much as guys do about all this puberty stuff?
Absolutely. The book strongly encourages reading the girls' questions. It becomes obvious they're just as concerned, curious, and invested in understanding it all.
Okay. Sexual thoughts in boys. When do boys typically start to have sexual thoughts, and is it sudden?
It explains sexual thoughts are normal for everyone, part of growing up. Usually it's gradual, starting around puberty.
Not like a switch flips.
Right. Maybe noticing people differently, becoming aware of appearances in media. Over time, recognizing those feelings as attraction. Totally natural.
And how long do sexual feelings last?
Generally, lifelong. Though how they feel, their intensity, focus, that changes with age, experience, relationships. But the capacity usually remains.
Okay. Friendships between genders. Is it okay for a boy to have a girl as a friend?
The huge "you bet" encourages platonic friendships. You can hang out, share interests, just like with guy friends.
And if other people assume it's romantic?
That might just be their own limited view. It's totally fine to just be friends.
Good message. Okay, dating specifics. What exactly do you do on a date?
Dates are just chances to spend time with someone you're interested in, get to know them better.
Lots of possibilities.
Yeah, dances, movies, just talking. The book mentions most families have rules letting parents know where you are, who you're with, curfews, for safety and positive experiences.
Parents caring.
Right. Might feel restrictive, but many teens appreciate their parents looking out for them.
What about the right age to start dating?
No fixed rule. Depends on the person, the family's comfort level. Some start with group dates.
Group dates first, yeah.
Again, family comfort and safety are key. And it notes in some cultures, formal dating doesn't happen. People get to know each other in family community settings. Asking adults about their teen dating experiences can give perspective.
What if someone hasn't dated yet and worries they never will?
Reassurance time. If you're in your early mid-teens or younger, totally normal not to have dated. People wait till they're ready or families are okay with it. No need to worry or feel pressured. Plenty of time later.
Good reminder. How best to ask someone out. Any tips for getting a yes?
Kindness, consideration, being friendly, those are always appealing, right? Same for
Okay.
asking someone out.
Be a good person, basically.
Pretty much. And asking trusted adults for advice helps. They've been there. Basic social stuff hasn't changed that much.
True. Specific scenario. What if a really hot girl asks you out?
Well, maybe guys traditionally initiated more. It's common now for girls to ask too. If it happens, the choice is yours.
What should you consider?
More than just looks. Do you have stuff in common? You enjoy talking, feel comfortable, you can say yes, see how it goes. Could be fun or a learning experience. Or ask adults for advice if unsure.
Okay. What makes someone want a girlfriend?
First, it clarifies a girlfriend often means an exclusive relationship. Then, suggest being friendly, funny, considerate, a good listener, authentic. Basically, qualities that make people want to be around you and get closer.
Makes sense. How to handle unwanted attention but still stay open.
Don't make snap judgments.
Yeah.
Try to see good in everyone. But you absolutely have the right to say no to unwanted advances.
Okay.
And remember, looks aren't everything. You might be attracted to other qualities as you get to know people.
Age differences. Does the guy always have to be older?
Not necessarily. But since girls mature a bit earlier in teens, maybe it's more common for girls to date same age or slightly older guys then. As people get older, age matters less. Shared interests, values, experience become more important. The book does caution against big age gaps, especially among or adult, due to potential power imbalances.
Good caution. Okay, physical intimacy questions. I don't feel ready to kiss anyone romantically. What if it feels expected?
Totally okay not to be ready. Social pecks might happen, but romantic kissing is intimate, mutual.
So what do you do?
Politely and clearly state your feelings. I'm not ready for that, but I'm having fun hanging out. There are tons of other ways to show liking, smiling, laughing, compliments, fun activities.
Okay. Is it normal to kiss romantically at 11? Will it hurt?
People develop feelings at different times. Maybe not the norm for everyone at 11, but some might feel that way. Physically, a kiss won't hurt. But since it signals romantic interest, it's best reserved for someone you're actually attracted to, when you both feel comfortable and it feels right.
Got it. Cynical question. Why do girls sometimes seem to bother, trick, or spy on boys they like?
The book suggests this might relate to girls maybe starting puberty and romantic feelings a bit earlier.
So they're figuring it out sooner.
Maybe. Boys might still be less focused on romance, while girls are already navigating those feelings. As both genders learn to express attraction appropriately, misunderstandings or awkward behaviors can happen, part of the learning curve.
Okay. Is there a distinct feeling of attraction?
The book says, yeah, it can feel distinct. Hard to describe, unique to you, maybe something you only understand once you feel it. A special connection, thinking about them a lot, excitement, nerves.
What's the purpose of love? Just reproduction?
Love can lead to reproduction, sure. But many people love deeply without having kids.
Right.
Love is described as strong attraction, wanting closeness, intimacy, connection. Couples past reproductive age still love deeply, so it's more than just biology for making babies.
What if a young person thinks, I never want to get married? Might that change?
Advises. Keep an open mind. Feelings change as you mature, have experiences. Marriage is a choice in many cultures. People do it for lots of reasons. Postpone firm decisions until you're older.
Okay, let's talk homosexuality again. Why do some human beings act homosexually?
The book defines homosexual gay as attraction to the same sex, heterosexual as attraction to the opposite. Says gay people have always existed, all cultures.
Compares it to being left-handed.
Yeah, like it's not a choice, just a natural variation. Science doesn't fully know why, but knows it's not about hormones after birth or how you were raised.
Does being gay dictate behavior or personality?
No, it's about attraction, not how you talk, dress, or act. Just like straight people have diverse personalities, so do gay people.
Okay. There's a specific theory question. Is being gay because you get too many genes from your mom? Mom likes boys, so gay guy likes boys.
The book flat out refutes that. Says it's a misunderstanding of genetics. No scientific evidence supports that idea at all. Sexual orientation isn't inherited like that.
If someone realizes they're gay, should they hide it?
Book strongly advises against hiding it. Leads to loneliness, feeling inauthentic.
But reactions can be negative.
Sadly, yes. Sometimes lack of understanding or acceptance exists. But self-acceptance is key. Find trusted people, supportive parents, relatives, teachers, online resources. Talk honestly. Gay people are normal, valued. Finding community is crucial.
What if someone's called gay as an insult, even if they aren't?
That's bullying. Using gay derogatorily is meant to hurt. Tell a trusted adult. They can help stop it.
Broader question. Better to be different or fit in?
Book acknowledges the peen desire to fit in same clothes, interests, but also the growing desire for individuality as you mature.
Both feelings can exist?
Yeah, even in adults. It's about balancing connection and being uniquely you.
What do others see? Is it normal to worry if you're normal or like other guys?
Totally normal, especially in teens, to wonder how you appear if you fit in. We share human traits, but we're also unique. That mix is good.
Why do some groups reject people who seem different?
Sometimes groups try to feel more exclusive or important by rejecting outsiders. Can be hurtful.
Yeah.
But the book offers reassurance. Almost everyone faces rejection sometime. There were always other, more accepting groups out there.
Okay. Stress. What if you're already stressed, then face conflict?
Sounds overwhelming. The book notes good stress motivates growth, like for a test, and bad stress, insecurity, illness, mistreatment.
And when bad stress piles up?
It gets hard to cope. Strong advice. Talk to at least 3 trusted adults. Maybe include people beside parents, other relatives, friends, parents, coaches. Build a support network.
Good practical advice. Media influence, TV, movies, ads on growing up.
Encourages critical thinking. How realistic are these portrayals of puberty, adulthood, relationships? Media often shows idealized or dramatic versions. Question it.
Who decides what's cool?
Interesting one. Largely social groups, influenced by admired people, popular trends, music, fashion, and it changes constantly. Book acknowledges wanting to be cool is common. Suggests asking family about their experiences trying to be cool back in the day.
Might be funny. Pornography. What's its purpose?
Defines it.
Grr.
Media showing sexual acts. Notes some might view it to explore sexual thoughts.
But raises issues.
Yes. Potential legal issues, minors, illegal distribution, and ethical concerns, mistreatment of performers. Advises a family discussion about it, given the complexities.
Okay. Manliness. What does that mean?
No easy answer. Diverse opinions exist. Societal views evolve. Suggests a family chat about changing perspectives on what it means to be a man today.
Okay. Specifics of sexual activity. What is sex, exactly?
Defines it here primarily as intercourse between a man and woman attracted to each other. Erect penis enters vagina. Rhythmic movement, possibly leading to ejaculation, sperm release, and orgasm, intense pleasure for one or both.
Do people have to be naked?
Intimate touch involves many body parts. Being naked helps. But for intercourse itself, at least the penis and vagina need to be uncovered.
When's the right time to have sex? What's important to consider?
No specific age. It's about feeling truly ready.
And ready means?
Different things. Maybe waiting for commitment like marriage, understanding pregnancy, STI prevention, both partners consenting and emotionally ready, don't feel pressured by peers. It's always a choice.
Why my views on sex change? Young, disgusted, older, desire.
Brain development. Puberty hormones, testosterone, bring new thoughts, feelings. Plus, life experience, learning about yourself, relationships, attitudes naturally evolve.
Can sex happen accidentally?
Book says very clearly, no. It's a conscious choice. Sometimes people regret it and call it an accident, but the actions are intentional.
Why have sex if you don't want a baby?
Lots of reasons beyond reproduction. Physical pleasure, emotional intimacy, connection, bonding in a relationship.
But pregnancy is possible.
Always a potential if sperm meets egg. So, crucial for partners to be aware and use precautions if they don't want to baby them.
Good ways to learn about sex.
Reliable sources, age-appropriate books, school health, sex ed, open talks with trusted adults, parents, and communication with partners is vital.
First times can be nerve-wracking.
Yep, like anything new. Getting accurate info beforehand helps ease anxiety.
Myth-busting. My friend thinks kissing a woman can get her pregnant. True.
Absolutely not. Book is emphatic. Kissing alone cannot cause pregnancy, needs sperm to reach egg inside. Correct misinformation like that.
Wanting kids someday, but not sex. Other options.
Adoption is one way, but advises young people wait until older to make big life decisions like that.
Is there an obligation to have sex?
No, it's a personal choice. Some choose not to, for many reasons, but most people do choose to have sex for intimacy, pleasure, potential parenthood, etc.
Okay. Sexually transmitted diseases. STDs, STIs. What about ones that aren't fatal?
Explains their pass-through sexual contact, vaginal, anal, oral. Caused by viruses, bacteria, parasites.
Some are curable, some not.
Right. Chlamydia, bacterial, curable with meds. HPV, viral, preventable by vaccine, but not curable if you get it. HIV/AIDS, serious, incurable.
Prevention?
Abstinence is the only 100% way. But that means missing other life aspects like biological kids. So, safer sex,
Right.
condoms, mutual monogamy with a tested partner.
How do condoms prevent both STDs and pregnancy?
Physical barrier, stops exchange of bodily fluids, prevents infection transmission and stops sperm reaching the egg.
And monogamy helps too.
Mutual monogamy with one uninfected partner also prevents STIs without preventing pregnancy possibility later. Encourages testing before stopping condom use in such relationships.
Can you still get pregnant using condoms?
Condoms are effective when used correctly consistently. No method is 100%, but they significantly reduce risk. Refers to girls section for other contraception methods.
What about getting pregnant the very first time having intercourse?
Yes, possible. If ejaculation happens inside during the fertile window, when an egg is available in the fallopian tube, if no egg, no pregnancy.
How long is that fertile window each month?
About 6 days total. The day of ovulation plus the 5 days before. Sperm can survive inside for up to 5 days, but knowing exactly when that window is can be tricky.
What does tubes tied mean?
Common term for tubal ligation, a surgical procedure. Fallopian tube zig pathways are cut, tied, or blocked. Permanently prevents egg meeting sperm, a permanent contraception method.
Does fertilization happen on the first try usually, or take time?
Only about 1 week per month is fertile. So while possible on first try during that window, many couples trying need regular sex over several cycles before pregnancy occurs.
First signs of pregnancy. Before a belly shows.
Missed period is often the first sign. Uterus lining is needed for the embryo. Also, maybe nausea, morning sickness, appetite changes, tender darker nipples. Urine tests detect it early.
Can a baby be born through the botanus?
Never. Always born through the vagina, or C-section via abdomen uterus. Refers to girls section for female anatomy details.
Okay, weird question. Toilet baby myth. Guy masturbates in toilet, girl drops egg in. Possible.
Biologically impossible. Sperm needs specific conditions. Moisture, temperature to survive outside body. Wouldn't last in a toilet. Egg needs fertilizing in fallopian tube. Baby needs uterus to grow. Multiple reasons it's pure myth.
What do newborns look like? Obvious boy or girl?
I actually look very similar initially. Needs physical exam by medical pros to check reproductive organs, presence of penis for boys, to determine sex accurately.
Umbilical cord. Where does it come from?
Develops from uterus lining, forms the placenta attached to uterus wall. Cord connects placenta to baby's belly button. Lifeline for nutrients, oxygen, waste removal between mother and baby. Cut after birth, leaves belly button.
What happens to the sperm that don't fertilize the egg?
Once one sperm gets in, a process blocks others. The rest are broken down and absorbed by the woman's body.
Can a man get pregnant?
No. Book is clear. Pregnancy needs a uterus, a female biological feature. Don't believe stories otherwise.
Why does puberty happen even if a girl plans to adopt, not have bio kids?
Puberty is automatic biology, triggered by hormones' body clock. Can't turn it off based on future plans. Body goes through normal development, height, breasts, periods, regardless.
What if you don't want a new sibling, but parents have one anyway?
Try to reframe positively.
Yeah.
Focus on the special role of being a big sibling role model, guide, share experiences. Acknowledge mixed feelings are normal, though.
Final question in the book. What else should I know?
Acknowledges learning about bodies, health, relationships is lifelong. Encourage continued curiosity, asking questions, seeking reliable info. You've covered a lot, but learning never stops.
Wow. Well, that was definitely a deep dive. Some incredibly insightful and, yeah, often surprising questions about puberty and girls, all from preteens themselves.
It's really striking, isn't it, how universal some of these worries are,
Yeah.
and how, frankly, the book addresses really complex biological and social things. It's a real window into their world during this huge transition.
Absolutely. Puberty is just so complex, so many layers, and these questions really capture that natural curiosity and those very real concerns.
And it makes you think, too, about how maybe things have changed, societal views, information access, since these questions were first asked.
That's a great point. Maybe you listening can reflect on your own puberty experiences through this lens.
Yeah, and we definitely hope you keep exploring your own questions about growing up in this amazing, complicated human body.
Thanks so much for joining us for this deep dive.